The old man sat quietly at the edge of the park. A simple bench, the late afternoon sun gently touching his wrinkled hands. His eyes followed the children running by, their laughter filling the air, but he did not smile. Not yet. And then, almost like talking to himself, but loud enough for those nearby to hear, he said, "I wish someone had told me these things when I was young. If you've ever felt that wisdom comes too late, stay with me, because what follows are not just lessons, they are the scars, regrets, and quiet victories of those who have walked before you." Here's what he learned. Leçon 1. Discipline is freedom. The old man leaned back, resting his hand gently on the worn bench beside him. "You think discipline is about punishment," he whispered slowly, pausing long enough for his words to sink in. "You're wrong. Discipline is freedom." His mind drifted back. 2 late nights chasing meaningless excitement. Mornings that began too late, cluttered with regret, urgency, and exhaustion. He remembered how he used to resent structure, believing that routine meant restriction, until life taught him otherwise. "It wasn't until discipline came into my life that peace arrived," he said. He began waking up early, not for applause, not to be admired, but because those quiet morning hours belonged to him alone. He kept promises to himself: daily movement, focused work, reflection, not to prove anything, but to honor his worth. "A man without discipline," he continued softly, "becomes a slave to everything around him, to distractions, to temptations, to chaos. Discipline isn't a prison, it's a key to freedom that most men only find when it's almost too late." Lesson 2. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. His fingers slowly traced the thin blue veins on his hand. Fingers that had worked hard. Fingers that had held too much. Fingers that now trembled ever so slightly with age. "You think you're invincible, until you're not," he said, almost to himself. He remembered his younger self vividly, skipping meals to chase deadlines, laughing off fatigue, treating health warnings as if they were for someone else. Then came the reckoning. Stiff joints that no longer obeyed. Short breath climbing simple stairs. A tiredness that no amount of sleep could fix. "You don't have to fear aging," he smiled gently, "but you must respect it." Oh, his message was simple and urgent. Care for your body now, while it's still strong enough to repay you. Respect rest, nourish yourself, move daily. Not because you should, but because you can. At this stage of life, wellness isn't vanity, it's dignity. Leçon 3. Protect your peace. Not everyone deserves your story. His gaze softened, but his voice grew keener, almost protective. "Don't share too much," he warned, pausing. "Not everyone who listens cares, and not everyone who cares can hold your truth with grace." He reflected on times when he spoke too soon, trusted too fast, offered pieces of himself to those who did not value the gift. "There's power," he whispered, "real power, in keeping some things sacred, in holding parts of your story close, untouched by careless tongues." He explained that not every dream needs an audience. Not every struggle needs to be broadcast. "Protect your peace," he said slowly, "like you would protect your most treasured possession, because once lost, peace is hard to rebuild. Keeping some things private isn't about secrecy, it's about self-respect." And the older he became, the more he realized that silence can be stronger than sharing. Lesson 4. Time is more precious than money. He closed his eyes for a moment, as if measuring time itself, then opened them slowly. "You can earn back $1, he said softly, "but not a moment." His voice carried a tinge of regret, the kind that only comes from living long enough to understand. He spoke of years lost, working late while his children played outside, arguing over things that didn't matter, chasing status while missing sunsets. "When you're young," he sighed, "you think you have time, endless time, but when you're old, you finally realize you never did. Time," he explained, "is a non-refundable currency, and most people spend it recklessly, until one day they want it back, but find their hands empty. Spend your minutes carefully," he urged, "on people who matter, on things that nourish you, on quiet mornings, on meaningful work, on presence. Because when the end comes, you won't ache for more money. You'll ache for more moments." Leçon 5. Fear is temporary, regret is forever. He let out a small chuckle, shaking his head slowly. I feared so many things that never happened, he admitted, and I didn't do so many things I should have. Because of that fear. He paused, allowing the silence to fill the space. Fear had kept him small, kept him from expressing love when he felt it, kept him from starting projects that mattered, kept him from living freely. But here's what stayed, he continued gently. Regret. Long after the fear faded, regret remained. Oro. He described moments when he could have said yes, moments when he could have stood up, reached out, stepped forward, but didn't. You see, fear is temporary. It feels real, but it passes. Regret lingers. His voice softened even more. Whatever scares you now, step toward it. Try. Speak. Begin. Because when the end draws near, it won't be fear you'll remember. It will be the chances you never took. Leçon 6. Silence is powerful. His voice dropped into an almost reverent hush. You think strength is in loud words, he said slowly. But it isn't. He reflected on the countless times he raised his voice, only to later wish he hadn't. Arguments that solved nothing. Words spoken in anger that cut too deep. Not every opinion needs to be shared, he continued. Not every insult needs an answer. In his later years, he discovered the quiet power of silence. Silence is dignity, he said, pausing, letting the weight of the words settle. Silence gives you control. It gives you space to think. It protects your energy. He remembered moments when holding back his tongue preserved peace, when a quiet glance said more than 1,000 words, when not responding allowed a storm to pass harmlessly. Choose your words carefully, he whispered, but choose your silences even more carefully, because silence isn't emptiness. Silence is mastery. Lesson 7. Adversity builds character. He sat still for a long moment, eyes distant, as if replaying scenes only he could see. You will not know who you are, he said gently, until you've been tested. His life, he explained, had been marked by seasons of hardship, financial collapse, betrayal from friends, illness that humbled his body. In those times, he felt weak, lost, uncertain. But as the years passed, he saw them differently. They didn't break me, he whispered. They shaped me. Adversity, he realized, doesn't just reveal a man's character, it builds it. The struggles had taught him patience. The failures had taught him humility. The losses had taught him gratitude. When you go through hard times, he continued, don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this making me into? Because smooth seas never made a skilled sailor, and comfort never made a wise man. Adversity hurts, but it also hammers a man into who he was meant to be. Leçon 8. Stop seeking approval. His tone sharpened slightly, but not harshly, more like a truth spoken plainly. There's no peace, he said, in living for applause. He remembered well his younger days, dressing a certain way, speaking a certain way, chasing titles, compliments, praise. But no matter how much approval he received, it was never enough. The more I tried to be liked, he reflected softly, the less I liked myself. Hell? He learned sometimes too late that a man who lives for the opinions of others will never find rest. Approval is fleeting. People's expectations change, and chasing their validation leaves you tired, hollow, disconnected from yourself. Find your center, he advised. Live your truth, even if it's quiet, even if no one claps, because in the end, it's better to walk alone with peace than to be surrounded by applause but empty inside. Lesson 9. Let go of the past, you can't carry it all. His shoulders sagged slightly as he spoke, as if remembering the weight he carried for too long. I carried old hurts, he admitted, until they bent my back and clouded my mind. He described moments where bitterness had quietly drained his joy, where old resentments crept into new days. You think holding on makes you strong, he said, pausing. But really, it just makes you heavy. Oh. He realized that forgiveness isn't about saying what happened was okay. It's about deciding you won't let it poison today. Let go, he whispered. Not for them, but for yourself. When he finally began to release the old wounds, his life felt lighter, his mornings brighter, his soul freer. You can't carry it all, he said gently. Some burdens you must set down before you can walk forward. Leçon 10. Choose presence over perfection. He smiled gently, a knowing, quiet smile. The house won't always be clean, he said softly. The meal won't always be perfect. The day won't always go as planned. In his youth, he remembered striving endlessly for spotless rooms, flawless events, immaculate appearances. But over time, he learned that perfection was a thief. It stole his attention, distracted him from the people who mattered. Your child doesn't care about the dust on the shelf, he reflected. They care about your eyes, your laughter, your presence. He urged. Be there, not just physically, but emotionally, fully. Put down the phone. Forget the checklist. Life is rarely perfect, but moments shared, imperfect and messy, are what give life its beauty. Presence, he whispered, is the best gift you can give, and the one they will remember longest. Lesson 11. Small joys matter most. His gaze softened as he spoke, almost as if he was savoring memories as he named them. When you're old, he said quietly, you realize the small things were actually the big things all along. Morning sunlight spilling onto a kitchen table, the warmth of a well-worn sweater, a simple cup of tea alone, but content. He described long walks without agenda, the sound of birds at dawn, the comfort of a favorite song. These moments, he explained, are easy to overlook, but they're the fabric of a life well lived. He urged, don't rush past the small joys, chasing big accomplishments, because one day you'll discover it was these little details, the light, the quiet, the slow sips of coffee, that your heart holds dearest. Leçon 12. Your reputation is your legacy. He paused longer this time, his voice steady, yet touched with emotion. Money fades, he said slowly. Looks fade, even memories fade. But how you treat people? He nodded gently. That remains. He explained that kindness costs nothing, but earns everything. Honesty may not win short-term admiration, but builds lifelong respect. People won't remember every detail about you, he continued. They won't remember every word you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. A reputation built on integrity, empathy, and fairness becomes your true legacy. So, choose carefully, he whispered, not just what you do, but how you do it, and who you become in the process. Lesson 13. True happiness comes from simplicity. He leaned forward slightly, eyes twinkling with quiet understanding. You'll think happiness is a bigger house, he said softly, a faster car, a better title, a fatter bank account. But he had learned otherwise. He recounted how for decades he chased things that gleamed, only to discover they didn't fill the emptiness inside. Happiness, he whispered, is fewer needs, not more things. A quiet morning with no demands. A simpler meal enjoyed slowly. A walk without rushing. He realized that every upgrade came with new costs, not just financial, but emotional. The simpler my life became, he smiled gently, the happier I felt. True happiness isn't about accumulation. It's about appreciation. When you stop measuring life by what you own and start measuring by how lightly you can live, that's when you find peace. Lesson 14. Don't wait for retirement to enjoy life. His voice took on a tone of gentle warning. Too many men, he said slowly, waiting. Just waiting for the right moment, waiting for more money, waiting for retirement to finally live. But he knew better now. I waited too, he confessed quietly, and some of the best years slipped through my fingers. He urged, don't wait for permission, don't wait for the perfect time, because it rarely comes. Enjoy the small adventures today. Say yes to moments of joy now. Find time for passion projects, hobbies, friendships. Retirement isn't a magic doorway to happiness, he smiled sadly. It's just another chapter. And if you didn't know how to live before, you won't suddenly learn how after. Live now, before someday becomes never. Lesson 15. Love without conditions, but protect your boundaries. His voice softened again, as if speaking directly to a younger version of himself. Love freely, he said. Give generously, but don't lose yourself in the giving. He had loved deeply in his life, sometimes so deeply that he forgot who he was. You can love someone, he continued gently, and still say no. You can care, and still protect your peace. Boundaries, he explained, are not barriers. They are respect. Respect for yourself, respect for the relationship. He described times when he gave too much, overstayed in unhealthy situations, forgot his own worth while trying to prove love. Healthy love, he whispered, doesn't ask you to shrink. So love openly, but hold space for your own soul too. Because love without conditions is beautiful, but love without boundaries is dangerous. Lesson 16. Gratitude changes everything. He closed his eyes briefly, as if savoring the thought itself. When you're grateful, he said softly, nothing feels small. He remembered his younger years, when he rushed past simple moments, always hungry for more, for bigger, for better. But life had slowed him down. Loss, hardship, aging, these taught him the true power of gratitude. He realized a simple meal could feel like a feast, a sunny afternoon could feel like a gift, a kind word could change the course of a day. Gratitude, he whispered, doesn't just make you polite, it makes you present. It transforms what you have into more than enough. And as he aged, he discovered something unexpected. The more grateful he became, the lighter life felt. The easier it was to breathe, the more joy found him, even on chaotic days. Lesson 17. You are stronger than you think. He tapped his chest gently, right above his heart. The worst days will come, he said with certainty, but so will your strength. Though, he spoke of times when he thought he couldn't endure, when pain felt endless, when loneliness felt unbearable. But then, somehow, it did endure. Every time I thought I was finished, he smiled quietly, I found a strength I didn't know I had. He urged, you are braver, wiser, and stronger than the voice in your head tells you. Strength, he explained, doesn't mean never feeling weak. It means walking forward, even when you do. It's rising again, when no one is watching. It's choosing not to quit, when quitting feels easiest. Your strength isn't in your muscles, he whispered. It's in your quiet decision to keep going. Lesson 18. Life is short, but it can be deep. His voice dropped, almost into a whisper. Don't aim for a long life, he said. Aim for a deep one. He reflected on friends who lived many years, but never really lived. Days that looked busy, but felt empty. Depth, he explained, is not about length. It's about meaning. A deep life is filled with presence, with connection, with awareness, with moments fully lived, not just counted. He described sitting at the same table, with the same coffee, but tasting it differently because he was finally paying attention. Depth, he said softly, comes from loving well, from listening deeply, from noticing, from being grateful. And when the end comes, he concluded, you'll realize you didn't need more years. You needed more presence. The old man stood slowly, his knees cracked, his back bent, but his eyes were full of peace. You can live as many years as you want, he said softly, but if you don't learn these lessons, you'll never truly live. If these lessons touched you, leave a quiet comment. I'm ready to live deeply, not just long.